Hi, Mr. Schwimmer. This is Larry David. I just want to say, you fucking asshole! What's your fucking problem, you prick? Jesus!
All right, so hi, Jeff. We're back.
Hi, Susie. Good to be back with you.
We are on season 4, episode 7, The Surrogate.
Yes.
Okay, so The Surrogate. So we start out with Larry and Cheryl watching TV, and they're clearly watching a Seinfeld rerun. It's the puffy shirt episode.
Right.
They're in bed, and the phone rings, and we see that every time after an episode airs, and I'm going to tell you a story about this in a minute, it's their friend Marilyn who wants to go over the episode with them. It's really annoying.
By the way, I'm very curious because I'm in great pain to watch these episodes. It's like I enjoy them when I do watch them, but my motivation to watch them, because I have the experience in my head which I talk about as opposed to seeing it, but I'm actually enjoying it more than I would. But if it ran in reruns and it's on HBO, I would, under normal circumstances, that'd be like one of the last things I'd want to watch. I'd rather watch.
Well, we don't know
Luther
if Larry actually does watch it.
No, I don't
if it's
think he
just
does.
part of the episode.
But yeah, he wrote it probably because he had the ending in mind.
Well, also, I this is the story I'm going to tell you. So this character, Marilyn, every night watches a rerun and every night calls them after each rerun.
Yes.
And it's annoying. But I was once somewhere, I don't want to say where I was because I don't want to give away who it is. And this woman approached me and she told me she was that character and that she used to be very good friends with Larry and Lori and that she used to always call every single night after the rerun and didn't know that it was so annoying until she watched this episode.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
That's funny.
And she was actually quite hurt by it.
Well, tell her to go to a good class for self-awareness. I mean, you gotta think twice. You know, I wear this on my wrist, which it gives me pause. I don't have to snap it. I just look at it and it's like, whoa, chill out. And if she had this on, she'd look at it and go, oh yeah, don't call Larry. That is if she's remotely self-aware, which clearly she wasn't. And I love that she was hurt because she wasn't identified.
And no, she wasn't identified. That's why I don't want to say what she does for a living because that would kind of give it away. But she was hurt and apparently not friends with them any longer.
Well, there is no them anymore.
Well, no, but at the time, this happened a long time ago. So this is season 4. That was 2004, 2005, something like that.
And by the way, this is a season I realized where there were behind this season and next season, I believe, where behind the scenes, a lot of changes and a lot of, did the twins start next season?
They either start next season or the season after. But
I'm
next
pretty
season
sure.
is one.
No, I'm
next
pretty
season
sure
is one of my favorite seasons. That's
but
one
I'm
of the
pretty
great
sure
seasons.
that the twins are the next season.
Now, let's explain who the twins are to people who don't know.
Alec Berg, Jeff Schaefer, and David Mandel, who...
Correct.
Jeff still is a producer-director on the show, creative producer.
Very, very hands-on.
Alec Berg went on to...
Silicon Valley and Barry.
And co-created Barry and
Mandel did Veep.
Mandel did Veep, and he did that most recent...
The Plumbers.
The Watergate miniseries. So
we used to call them, I believe you made it up, Jeff. We used to call them the twins. It was 3 of them, but we called them the twins.
Because I am not great at remembering names. And Schaefer and Berg and Schaefer, their first job writing for a half-hour comedy was a series that I did for Fox that, as a matter of fact, it was 6 episodes, never aired. It aired in Spain. I got to check. But it did not air.
With subtitles or with a dub?
I have no idea, but I imagine both were available, just like here. you can do. I always watch with subtitles. The dubbing is so ridiculous.
The dubbing is hilarious to watch ourselves dubbed.
No, I'm not talking about
Spanish or German or.
I'm not talking about us. I'm talking when I watch shows
other things. But to watch
Sweden.
This show dubbed, I have been in other countries where I've flipped through the channels and seen us dubbed. And it makes me laugh.
How could it not make you laugh? It would make me laugh very hard. So anyhow, the twins, that's what I called them because I'm not good at names. And then when they started working on Curb with Mandel as a team, a 3-team, I still called them the twins. You know.
And it stuck.
And I didn't even try like, oh, that'll be funny. It was like, no. Twins works for me. I'm not going to let Mandel ruin it.
Well, that's what we called them, and that
was their name,
yeah.
The twins.
But we'll get to them a lot more, and hopefully they'll all be on the show when we get to their season.
I think that I know Jeff's available too because he's probably in post on our show.
Yeah,
and he's already said yes. But hopefully, I know Berg and Mandel would want to. I don't know.
We'll see where they're at.
Yeah.
So, all right. So she calls. We get through all that, and then. They're like, Cheryl's imitating her. They're rolling their eyes. Clearly, they're annoyed by this Marilyn. And Larry says that tomorrow he's getting a physical for the producers. We find out that information. Mm-hmm. And Cheryl asks him,
"Can you do me a favor? Will you pick up a present for the Duesenberry's baby shower?"
Me?
You're going to be right there. There's a toy store, right?
You wouldn't trust me with something like that? A gift for a baby?
Just get a doll or something.
So you want me to get a doll for Betty?
Get a doll for Betty. It's her baby shower.
But what about the surrogate? Get her anything?
I don't think you need to worry about the surrogate.
I don't know about that. I think the surrogate is a person too. She's having the baby.
The shower is for Betty.
So she's going to be opening up presents. The surrogate's going to be standing there like an idiot and she has nothing to open? The whole thing's... what's the surrogate etiquette?
Get a doll. But like asking Larry to get a shower gift, nothing good is going to come.
Well, she suggested a few things, and then she also mentioned a doll. And Larry went with the doll.
And Larry says, for Betty, who is the mother, what about the surrogate? So now we find out that the couple who's having the baby shower has a surrogate. The shower is for Betty. But, Larry's like, what's the surrogate etiquette? And I don't think any of us really know what the surrogate etiquette is. Do you?
No, I don't have a clue.
None.
Well, basically...
I'm surprised the surrogate is even at the baby shower.
That's what I was going to say. That's not generally because they don't want an emotional connection.
Correct.
To the surrogate, yeah.
And then Cheryl starts to rub Larry's hand, like trying to, getting a little frisky, wants to have sex. And Larry... says he can't because he's still suffering from the dog, from Oscar biting his penis.
And by the way, if it was even if season 10, he got bit on the wiener, season 1 of the next season, it never even happened.
Never happened.
We start fresh every season. So when I saw this, I'm like, oh, that's right. We'll continue whatever through the season.
He's not ready. Couple of more days. And then we see him, cut to, he's at the medical facility. And he's in the waiting room, and he doesn't care for the magazine collection. And it's a pretty shitty magazine collection.
No, you look at it, and this is one of those ones where, yes, he's right. And when he goes
Family Circle, Ladies' Home Journal.
But when he goes up to the receptionist, he's actually making a nice suggestion. He's not going over the line because it is a suggestion.
Correct. I agree with you.
And the receptionist continues a long string of receptionists and assistants that immediately have a disliking to Larry. Immediately. Whether deserved or not. Whether deserved or not.
And then he's in the doctor's office. And again, it's Jack Gallagher.
Yes.
Terrific Jack Gallagher, who we've met before and we love. And Larry's on the treadmill and, doing one of those stress test things. And he starts complaining about the magazines.
By the way, hold on.
Tom Cruise is 40.
I know. And then Emilio Estevez is 40.
All right. So Larry is on the treadmill. He's complaining that you should have Golf Magazine. You should have The Nation. And he's on the treadmill doing his stress test. And Renée, the nurse, comes in, and she's a beautiful woman. And Larry starts looking at her.
Hey, Larry.
Hi, Renee.
How you feeling?
And the heart starts going crazy. But you see the monitor
Well,
start
she's
going crazy.
gorgeous and she's curvy, and it really goes crazy when she bends over and there's a ton of
he
cleavage.
sees a little cleavage.
Not a little, a good amount.
Well, it's just like control yourself, but he can't.
No.
And then Dr. Jack can't sign the form because it's irregular. So he gives him a heart halter, which he needs to wear for 24 hours, which has electrodes, things all attached to his body and whatever.
By the way, as you know, I've had heart problems. I've worn a halter at least a half dozen times.
Have you? I have never worn a halter top.
Hold on. In high school, I had to wear it. And that is about...
Why?
Because I had heart problems.
In high school?
I had this thing called Wolff-Parkinson-White syndrome, and that causes tachycardia. And before they discovered it was that I had to wear a heart halter a few times in high school, a few times after. But in high school, anything that makes you different, I'm glad I was popular.
You're traumatized.
But that being said,
of course,
it was not easy and it was very embarrassing.
And in high school, I would imagine a little cleavage really makes the heart go racing.
Well, by the way,
in high school, an adult man should be able to control himself.
It was the time, though, where the little box that I was given, it wasn't nearly as big as that box. It was still pretty big. I told people it was a Walkman, to protect myself. All right, heart halter.
Okay, and Renee is placing it on him, and you see already she's placing it on him. He's getting all flustered and famished. Uh-huh. And then we find out he's out to lunch with Louis, and we find out that Louis is actually dating Renee.
Right.
And he says to Larry, have you ever made it with an African-American woman? Louis is so hip. Have you ever made it with an African-American? And Larry says, yes, twice, 2 different people, which is a little surprising to me.
And Larry, wait, Richard goes 3-way. A 3-way? And of course, Larry bursts out laughing.
Yeah. And then Louis starts saying that he's a little... self-conscious. He's self-conscious. He went to the locker room at the Knick game recently, and the forward threw his towel off, and it was like a huge penis from another planet, like just from huge. And Larry says, you need to see a guard, not the forward. The guard is a smaller guy. What are you looking at a forward for? Of course he's huge. So that this is the old, is it true? So Louis is worried about Renee that he can't live up.
I don't know whether I would ever want to have intercourse with her because I'm intimidated. You're one of the few friends I can tell this to.
Okay. Well, then maybe I can step in. I got that 10th anniversary present. I'm saying if you aren't too intimidated to go through with it, I could try.
A good friend doesn't do that. You don't have intercourse with someone who your friend doesn't screw.
Why? It would be a nice 10th anniversary present for me.
I'd rather go to Tiffany's and get you a bowl.
I don't want a bowl.
And Larry's thinking, maybe Renee could be my 10th anniversary present. And Richard's like, a good friend doesn't do that. I'd rather go to Tiffany's and get you a bowl. He doesn't want a bowl. So then they are outside. Larry has his valet ticket, and there's a black man standing next to the valet sign in a suit, a vest, and a red tie. And Larry hands him his ticket. He's not the valet. Gets very offended, and in the background we see Wanda is watching.
But hold on
a
second here about the guy getting offended. He clearly looks. Forget if it was a white guy wearing that. It's one of those arguments that Larry,
a vest with a
shirt the red tie
and a red
Larry
tie.
doesn't see the jacket.
Wanda's like, you automatically think the black man is the valet, and Larry's defending himself. The red tie, the vest, and then he asked Wanda, is there any discernible difference between a white man and a black man? And then she says to him, did you give my script to that guy?
Well, look, did you get my script to that guy, that Martin Schaefer?
Oh, yeah. Everything's okay as soon as you want your little favor.
Did he get my script?
Yes, he did.
And?
And what? I gave it to him, and he'll read it and get back to you.
He's not going to rewrite it, is he?
No.
Okay. Because that's my baby.
Oh, yeah.
I don't want anybody messing with my baby.
No one's going to mess with your baby. Don't worry about it.
I'm going back to work.
Yeah, go back to work. Yeah.
Messing with you.
Is there any black men around here? Is there a valet? I need a black man to get my car. Is there a black man in the area who wants to take my valet ticket?
And she starts saying, that's my baby. You know, I don't want that script fucked with. That's my baby. And then he's at the toy store. He's looking at dolls. The shelves are very empty of dolls. Very, very empty. And the last doll there it's the Laurel doll. And it's a biracial doll. And Larry is talking to the sales clerk.
What's the race on this doll?
It's biracial.
Biracial?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely.
Huh. So they make this doll specifically for mixed couples? For black and white couples? They make a doll for their kids?
I don't know.
If somebody's Asian and they marry a white person, are they making sort of a half Asian, half white doll too? See what I'm getting at?
Yeah. I think that's, yeah.
I wonder if you do.
Is there ever a half Asian doll? Or is it just he goes off on these things. And he ends up
Did you
getting
recognize the sales clerk?
I didn't.
She's a huge star.
Who is it?
Melissa McCarthy.
Oh, Melissa McCarthy, yes. And she's got that weird thing in her hair.
Yeah, yes, but what I want to say is that the nuance in which she played that person and the way she smiled and reacted, you just went, here's a little motherfucking part, and look what this person's doing with it.
Well, she's good.
No, but she's not unworthy of stardom. She's more than worthy, but it's always amazing how, what's the line? It's not the parts that are small, it's the actors who are small.
There are no small parts, there are only small actors.
Well, by the way, she showed that she knows that, and she had a small part and fucked and knocked it out of the park.
And she worked it.
Yeah.
She worked it. And then they're at the shower. And Larry brings in the gifts, and she sees the monitor on Larry, the heart monitor, and she's concerned. And they start talking about, does Bernie Duesenberry look like Steve DeMarco? And you always think somebody looks like somebody,
and Steve DeMarco is someone who has been Larry's golf coach and mine. Larry turned me on to him.
Okay.
And so he was doing a shout out to Steve DeMarco.
And Betty opens up the doll, and Larry says,
Is that? Oh, she's opening our gift.
Oh, good.
This is from the Davids. Oh, a doll.
It's a mulatto. Oh, good?
Biracial is what we call it usually.
Biracial.
it's a mulatto. And everybody stares at him. And Betty says, I think we call it biracial.
Eliza Murray, her husband is Joel Murray, and part of the Murray family, Bill, all of them. And Eliza Murray is one of Marla, my ex-wife's best friends. And I love her. I'm close with her. I'm close with both of them. But it was wonderful that she was doing this. She did a great job.
And then Larry has another gift for the surrogate. And Cheryl's not happy about this, that he bought another gift for the surrogate. And Larry goes over, it's after all the gifts are done being opened, and he goes over to the surrogate.
But by the way, everyone's shocked and nonplussed that he brought something for the surrogate.
Absolutely. Especially Cheryl. And the surrogate thanks him. She didn't expect it. And Larry's like, well, you're the one who's carrying the baby. And you know something. You know what's going to happen. I mean, just knowing Curb, you know what's going to happen. And, he starts telling her about, I'm a writer and it's not such a great job. You don't let them touch my baby, echoing what Wanda had just said.
You never see it again. They take your baby from you. They give your baby to somebody else. And that's it. You've lost complete contact with your baby. You never see the baby again, and it's your baby. And they give it to another writer. And that writer doesn't let you even look at your baby.
That's part of your job. That's what you signed up for. I mean, you knew you had to give it away.
Sort of, but it's hard to give up that baby.
Maybe in a few years you can see how your script's doing or something.
Yeah, I know, but then it's all changed. You have nothing to do with it.
You've lost complete contact with your baby. He's saying your baby, talking about a script. But he keeps on using
But she says 3 months later you can check in on it. And he's, no, it's changed. That's not going to happen.
And it's hard to give up that baby. And he starts carrying on and carrying on.
And by the way, if I may, it was the exact perfect number of babies that felt believable. I don't know if he said more and cut it out in editing.
Well, we never know that.
But I used to know that when I'd sit in on editing. For those of you who don't remember me saying or didn't listen to that episode, I stopped going to editing because Larry likes to watch every take.
He watches every single take in editing, still to this day. And then we're back at producer's rehearsal, and Mel is watching Larry rehearse with David Schwimmer. And they're questioning him, you're still on book? Larry's still on book, which means it's a term, it means he doesn't know his lines. Basically, he doesn't know his lines.
The book is the script, and he's reading from the script. By the way, that's me. I have no choice but to try and memorize it early, because if I'm still... Yeah, he's doomed, by the way, to have this.
One of the beauties of being an actor on Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Oh, man. We all discuss, by the way, that has never not been a topic of discussion. It's always brought up, whether at lunch or something, how freeing it is. Yeah, it's just, usually it's a guest star that mentions it.
We're so used to it.
No, but we all go off on it. Larry goes, because it's really freeing.
We love it that we don't have to memorize any lines. And, for our listeners, I mean, when you have to memorize lines, the night before you go to sleep, you're in bed, you're going through your lines, you can't sleep because you're trying to read. It's horrible. Some people are great at it. I was just reading an article about Judi Dench, who has a photographic memory, and she never had difficulty memorizing lines, and now she's lost her eyesight. So she's trying to memorize lines by hearing it. She's having a great deal of difficulty. All actors have different methods, and some are quite good at it and some not. I am not.
For me, it's a muscle. And if the muscle is grooving, you're doing it long enough, you've been filming for a week, 2 weeks, the muscle kicks in and I have no trouble. It's when I don't do a lot of it or I'm out of shape, because I've been on shows where I go over it with the
script supervisor.
Well, the line, whoever's, usually shows that I'm on, they hire someone. And really, it's like 2 times through it, and I'm good. Boom, because it's a muscle. And
I find it depends on the script. A well-written script is way easier to memorize than a poorly written script.
Oh, hold on.
Because it makes sense.
Hold on. Lou Schneider, our old friend, directed a lot of episodes that I was in, and he knew that if I couldn't remember it, there was something wrong with it. He just knew that.
If it makes sense and it's flowing, it's much easier to memorize.
Bad dialogue is impossible.
Yeah. When I used to do a recurring on SVU playing a defense attorney, I had all this legal jargon I had to memorize. It was brutal. It made no sense to me. I didn't know what I was saying. It was brutal. And
SVU was the show that I guest starred on as the murderer.
I don't remember, Jeff. I've been on all 3 of them.
Is that the one where Roz asked if I would do it?
I don't know. She was an EP on all 3 of them.
I was on what was the one that Chris Noth was on? Do you know?
That was SVU.
Okay,
no, that was CI, Criminal Intent.
Criminal Intent. So I was the murderer on Criminal Intent. And all my dialogue, there was nothing that cued me. I had to come up with these long passages without remembering why. Like answering a question. That show is impossible. Another one, by the way, it's funny to bring up. I was the villain on Baywatch, and all the actors around me, they read it once or twice. Their muscles were in full force. I had long monologues, and they beat the shit out of me.
Well, luckily, none of that on Curb. So he's still on book. They open in 3.5 weeks. And then Mel says, did you get your medical results for insurance? And then Larry shows him the heart halter that he didn't. And then Schwimmer's like, are you too old? And Larry's like, you want to race? You want to race? And then David Schwimmer's dad comes in.
Yeah, but you have to understand, just like Ben Stiller, David Schwimmer comes in and does the subtle animosity.
Absolutely. Very hostile.
It builds here, but in general, it's really not that, it's nice. It's difficult to play that subtly.
Jack Heller is playing Schwimmer's father. That's who plays Schwimmer's father.
He was very good.
Yes, he was very good. That's why I looked it up. And he comes in, and Larry tells Mel about Renee. And then we see in the background, David Schwimmer's father is showing him some photos. And Mel is so funny when he starts talking about Victor McLaughlin and Adolf Menjou and rubbing their face. You know who also did that face rubbing was Brian Keith, was always like rubbing his face. I love Mel. And then Schwimmer introduces his dad.
You don't love Brian Keith?
Not as much as I love Mel.
I know.
There's few people I love as much as Mel.
Although Brian Keith had such a great career in movies.
And a terrific actor in many ways.
But everyone knows him from Family Affair.
Family Affair.
Buffy, Jody.
But he was in a lot
Sissy,
of great movies. And he was in a lot of World War II movies.
But I didn't discover that till later on because I watched Family Affair.
You watched Family Affair.
Yeah, and by the way, always wanted to be Mr. French and have a relationship with Mrs. Faversham.
What was his name, that actor? I'm blocking.
Sebastian Cabot.
Sebastian Cabot.
Who's the narrator and one of the main characters in Jungle Book.
Yes. Okay. Sebastian Cabot.
Yeah.
Part of our childhood. And then Schwimmer introduces his dad to Mel and to Larry. He's a...
No. He introduces him to Mel.
To Mel, yeah. And he introduces him to Larry, but he barely acknowledges Larry.
No.
The father barely acknowledges Larry.
No. He introduces him to Mel because his dad's excited, big fan, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And Larry's looking over, what about me? What about me? And then after they're doing their whole Mel thing, then David Schwimmer, and Mel walks away, if I'm not mistaken, and David Schwimmer looks at Larry and goes, oh, yeah, this is Larry.
Yeah. Very...
and the father's nonplussed.
Yeah.
And we know why he's nonplussed, but then we get into it.
Yeah, because after Irving Schwimmer walks away, Larry says...
You told him about the whole cashew raisin thing, right? We're talking. You don't have to go back and tell him, Larry...
Are you kidding?
I know you said something. You're so unfriendly.
Well, of course I said something. It was your suggestion, Mr. Constructive Criticism.
Hey, he's putting 4 cashews in a bag. He deserves some constructive criticism.
Go on about it.
I want to call him. Seriously.
I don't think so.
I just like to call him and apologize.
I don't feel comfortable with you calling my dad.
David, I'm going to apologize. I'm going to be very nice. Believe me.
So you told him about the cashew raisin thing? Was that it? And Schwimmer says, yeah, and he was upset about it, et cetera, et cetera. So Larry
but Schwimmer has the justification. It was a suggestion. You suggested it. That's what you said. Suggestion,
Yeah. And Larry wants to call him to apologize. Wants to call Irving Schwimmer to apologize. And so Larry's in his car, in his little Prius.
By the way, Schwimmer also very reluctantly gives the number
gives him the number. Oh,
I'd rather have you not call my father. Well, don't call after 10, which becomes a theme all through the show about the cutoffs.
Right, which for the first time we saw that was in season 1 in The Wire.
Yeah.
Was the cutoff. And Larry pulls the car over and he dials Irving Schwimmer's number and he starts to leave a message when in the middle of the message, which is a perfectly normal message, somebody rear ends Larry and he screams, fucking asshole, what's your problem, you prick? And he starts screaming and cursing and blah, 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 blah. So we know this is going to come back to haunt him. It's just, how could it not?
Right.
Nothing happens without it coming back to haunt him. And the guy in the car that he's yelling at gets out of the car with a tire iron.
Think I hit your car? Now I'm gonna fucking hit you right in the fucking head. Hey!
My heart!
What are you doing? What is this? Is it your heart? All right, just calm down. Don't take them off. Leave them on. You shouldn't have took them off. All right, look, oh, Christ, I don't know CPR. Hey, somebody call an ambulance.
And he starts to go after Larry.
And by the way, an excellent actor who's never stopped working.
I know. I recognized him.
But what's his name again? Please, someone let us know. He, at that point, was in that Tom Hanks, Steven Spielberg miniseries about the war. Rami Malek was in it. It was on HBO. It was very
you mean
successful.
Band of Brothers?
Band of Brothers.
Yeah.
He was in that, and
Yes.
it was very, very successful. And this was the next thing that he did after that. And of
Was
course,
that before this, really?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so he starts to go after Larry, and Larry pulls up his shirt because he's got the monitor on, and he pretends to have a heart attack.
Right. Which, by
Typical.
the way, I never had that opportunity, actually, thank God. But when I read that he was doing that, I remember the script, I went, oh, that's brilliant. That's brilliant, because there's a logical reason why his heart's not. This is one of those dominoes that goes in a million directions. And having to wear the halter, watching it again, forgot that he's doing this. And then I watched it. And
I
went,
totally
oh.
forgot this episode. I
Yeah.
totally forgot this episode on rewatching.
Uh-huh.
They call an ambulance. A crowd forms. The next thing, Larry's on a stretcher in the ambulance, and then he sees people.
Wait.
running.
Here, hold on. I got to add something here.
What?
As he's being put into the ambulance, he's trying to explain to the
EMT.
The EMT. His legs are crossed at the ankle, like he's in a casual position.
Yeah. Like
which
he's
nobody
relaxing.
would be in if they had a heart attack.
Heart
he's just
attack.
like,
Yeah.
they're not getting
But he
it.
didn't have a heart attack.
No, I know,
And-
but
and-
still, that's why it's funny.
And he sees in the ambulance, he sees this whole crowd running after the surrogate with her big stuffed animal that Larry had given her. We don't know what that's about, but we can assume.
Yes.
And then he's in the hospital talking to the nurse, and he's talking to her about, is it a myth or is it true?
Well, by the way, let's also take a step back. A group of people chasing a pregnant woman, not something you see every day.
No. But it's Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Yes.
And the nurse in the hospital, and she was terrific also. She says it's a myth. And Larry says, too bad for the black guys. And then he asks her about mulatto. And she says, no, that's a no. It's biracial. And then Cheryl comes in and Larry says to her, which I love this kind of throwaway, you know that she's biracial, but she still needs sunblock. There's no advantage. There's no advantage to being biracial.
Is
She
it, by
still
the
needs
way,
sunblock.
but by the way, what's really funny about that is we didn't see that conversation. So he was covering lots of topics. with her.
Correct. Yes.
Yeah.
And then he tells her there was a road rage incident and he faked a heart attack. And then Cheryl's pissed off because she's like, if you're not even sick, why am I here? You know, you faked a fucking heart attack. Why am I here? She's pissed off. She's pissed off through this entire episode, pretty much, Cheryl is. And then she says to him, what did you say to the surrogate? She's in labor.
Hold on, though. They get into an argument about, Larry says, would you prefer I had a heart attack?
Yes.
Would you prefer that I had, he names a few other things, and she doesn't dispute it.
So Cheryl says the surrogate is in labor, and Bernie Dusenberry wants to kick Larry's ass because the surrogate wants to keep the baby now because of something that Larry said to her. And the elevator opens, and there's the surrogate with the panda, and we don't know what happens yet, but there are primos. Cut to, there are primos, Larry and Richard Lewis, and they're in a bathroom. They're in the bathroom of primos, and they're about to take a piss, and they talk about, Larry says there's no difference between black men and white men because the nurse had told him that. And then who should walk in, Jeff? Muggsy Bogues.
Oh, Muggsy Bogues, right. I was thinking Spuds.
Muggsy Bogues, who was one of the great guards of all times, and a short guy.
Well, that's what was delightful about him. He was so short. And when I met him, that he was a tiny bit shorter than me. And I've been around NBA players, and they dwarf me. So that's, if you're, I'm 6'1". So if you're less than 6'1", you are really tiny on that court. And, you know.
But he could move.
But also remember this, too. If memory serves, he didn't really know the show.
Oh, really? I wasn't around.
At all. And if you see him getting mad, he gets mad in such
Well, let's get to that.
Okay.
Let's get to that first. So Muggsy Bogues comes in and they're quelling over him. You know, they're big basketball
and they're
fans.
making a point to say that they hadn't started peeing yet and their hands are clean, but they're still not going to shake his hand, which he
they also make a point that he's a guard.
Yes.
Because Larry had made that point before. You got to look at the guard's penis, not the forward. The forward are the big, tall guys.
Right.
So the three of them are at the urinal, and you see Larry and Lewis is sneaking a peek.
Right.
And it's huge.
Yeah.
It's massive.
Yes.
And Muggsy sees Larry looking and goes after him. And what does Larry do? He fakes a heart attack.
He pulls the wires off. Yes, which is, it's so funny because he would almost need that every episode.
Well, it's you know, we did a couple of episodes ago. We did the special section where he uses his mother's death to get out of things.
Right.
Now he's using the heart monitor to get out. It's the same idea. Cut to, we're at the doctor's parking lot. And there's a black man in the parking lot who was Eric. What was Eric? Was he he was an AD, wasn't he?
Oh, no, he wasn't an AD. He was a PA.
Was he a PA?
But he was on
with
the
us
show.
for many, many years.
No, he
Eric.
was on the show up until we took the big break.
Yes.
He was
He was on for many seasons.
And Eric was the AD. Not Eric.
No, Jonathan.
Jonathan, right, was the AD.
Was the second AD.
But
Dale
Eric,
was the
I
first
did
AD.
something. By the way, Eric and I loved each other. We became very
Eric
close.
was a great guy.
But one of his jobs was to give me cues when I'm going to enter a scene. Like it almost seemed like it was. So we're in a closet. And I did this to him twice. We're in this little closet and I have to come out. And I don't remember why I was in a closet, but I have to come out. And when he gives me the cue, I rip a fart. And the door has to close behind me. And he's alone in this little closet.
That's unkind, Jeffrey.
No, it's horrible. And I did it to him twice. He said the second time, you're not going to do that to me again. Or the third time, whenever it was. I go, well, I won't. And
Poor
then
Eric.
I did again. Yeah.
Poor Eric.
Yeah.
So Eric is playing the black man in the parking lot, and Larry gets out of his car, and then he realizes he didn't hit the fob to set the alarm. And you know, he hits it after the fact. He's, a couple of yards away. And Eric, the black man, turns to him and says, you think I'm going to steal your car? And it's not a race thing. And he turns the alarm off. See? And then we see Wanda watching. Which, Wanda's a little bit too conveniently there all the time.
No, she's shooting. And
I
she
understand. I understand.
I believed it completely. But I want to say that Larry, in these two scenes with Wanda, is in fact a victim of circumstance. But
Correct.
I know
Absolutely.
There are people I know, some that I'm very close to very well, who really use that card almost all the time.
Which card are you talking about?
Victim of circumstance. I go, there has to be some times where you're in the wrong, where you've just made a terrible mistake.
It's like the guy who's constantly losing his job, but it's everybody else's fault.
Well,
when it happens so many times, after a while, it's like,
Don't you look in the mirror?
my friend.
Exactly. So Larry here twice is a victim of circumstance, which is unusual. Well, not for this show. Quite often he is, but it's with Wanda, and he doesn't have a leg to stand on.
No, and Wanda says,
you saw the black man, you say, let me lock my car. You put the alarm on. The black man made you go, let me lock the car.
No, I just hadn't done it yet, that's all.
And do you think a black man would want that piece of shit?
Piece of shit? How
Yeah,
dare
that's
you,
a little
piece of
toy
shit?
car. No black man don't want a toy car. Black man want a car with some get up and go.
I didn't think the black man wanted the car.
black man made you lock your car? And she says, no black man wants a toy car. Black man wants a car with a get up and go. And then she asked him, did you hear back about the script?
No. Hold on. You're skipping something, which is
what?
Black man with the suit is going to get your car. Black man not dressed and nice enough
is going to steal your car.
He's going to steal your car. Yeah.
Yeah. And then she asked him, did you hear back about my script? And Larry says he didn't like it. And then that's when Wanda says, did you tell him I was black?
Right.
You don't know how to play the card. And a brown skin black, not like some light skin black, a dark black, Now, Larry is in the doctor's office and he's reading a golf magazine and he's practicing his swing.
A current one.
And
so by the way, hey, hold on. Larry David, with any tip that said, when we're working, when we're not working, he is always trying to perfect
practicing his swing. Always.
Air swing, too. Never with a club, and so the fact that he did it on camera, I think is funny.
And he tells the doctor he loves the magazine Improvement. And he says, it's one of the few times anyone's taken my advice. And he's very, very happy about it. And then Renée enters because he's going to be retested now. And Larry won't look at her. He's looking at the ceiling. He's looking to the left, to the right. And Renée says, Bernie Dusenberry will be here in 10 minutes. And we see Larry's heart rate go up because Cheryl had told him that Bernie Dusenberry wants to kick his ass. Then he's in bed with Cheryl, with the monitor on because he didn't pass the test again, and Seinfeld is on. And the surrogate changed her mind and is giving up the baby. And Larry says to the Dusenberrys, and Larry says, the penis is healed as soon as I get rid of the monitor, and the phone rings. And they assume that Seinfeld is over, the rerun, and they assume it's Marilyn. Larry's like, don't pick up. Shut the lights, go to bed, and the machine turns on, and it's Irving Schwimmer.
This is Irv Schwimmer. You motherfucking cock-sucking son of a bitch bastard. Who the fuck do you think you are? You bald son of a...
And he's, you motherfucking cocksucker, you bald son of a bitch. Who the fuck do you think you are?
Well, by the way, sounds like your character.
It did, but it wasn't. It was Irving Schwimmer. And that's it.
And that's what we call a button.
That is a button.
Yeah.
That's a great ending, by the way. It's a great button to an ending.
Great ending. But that show is one of those things where it goes in and out and crosses over and you don't know where it's going to meet. It's pretty brilliant, that show.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a good, there's a lot of good ones in this season. And I think there's a lot of good ones in prior seasons, but you see a rhythm getting more
the show is growing.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So we will see you next time.
Yes, and thank you all for listening very much. Very appreciative.
And thank you to our sponsors.